what a result today. Manchester City solidifies their dynasty, their championship title run once again, winning their 6th title in the last 7 years, and for the first time in English football history, winning 4 Premier League titles in a row behind the genius of Pep Guardiola. What a result, defeating West Ham today, while Arsenal defeated Everton, but wasn't enough. They needed more from West Ham. West Ham was not able to give that to them, and Manchester City sees themselves as title winners once again.
It's historic. It's groundbreaking. It's legendary. It's Manchester City getting their 4th trophy in a row, winning the Premier League title, bro. And I think for me, that is the biggest narrative, is this four-peat. You just said it. It's an English first, and out of 150, 160 year history in England, bro. And I think that's what's shocking to me, is that Manchester City make history like this. And you think about how dominant Manchester United were in the 90s and in the late 2000s. I think you have to ask the question, does this team top that historic
team? Is this the best
team?
English side of all time?
Of all time is the question I'm asking.
I think it is. I know it might sound like recency bias, but I really do think when you look at the numbers, it's not just 4 in a row. For me, it's 6 and 7.
Yeah.
6 out of 7 to me is just ridiculous.
8 out of 12.
They're turning the Premier League into the Bundesliga, basically. They're predictable, dominance, low key, not want to say corrupt, but just who's going to win it at the end of the season. It's becoming that level, especially with this last title, man. I just see this Manchester City team forming a complete dynasty, completely having this league by the throat right now, and even projecting it out going forward. I don't know if the 4th title in a row is the last one that they'll get, man. I think there's a chance they might get 5 or 6, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the scary part, is pretty much no matter who's in rotation at Manchester City, as long as they have the budget they have, as long as they have one of the best tacticians in the world in Pep Guardiola, Manchester City will always be a title contender. And the fact that they're so consistent, again, 4 Premier League titles in a row is insane, man. Out of the last 12 seasons, Chelsea winning twice, Liverpool, the great Liverpool, only winning 1 of them, and then the miraculous Leicester City season. Besides that, man, it has been Manchester City. Crazy. It's kind of crazy. And you use the words, and I want to use the same ones. It is getting a little bit predictable. I mean, I think you could say that most people 10 months ago said that Manchester City were going to lift their 4th title in a row. And here we are 10 months later, not really feeling vindicated, but just being like, kind of numb to the idea that Manchester City have lifted the trophy yet again. And I don't want to downplay the greatness of Manchester City. I just want to simply point out that fact that this league is ran by one team and one team only, Manchester City. It is crazy, though, how close Liverpool have gotten in certain seasons, how close Arsenal have gotten this season and last season. But no matter what, they all falter to the great Manchester City.
Man. They all faltered, especially this season with Liverpool getting close at one point. They slowed down last month. Arsenal was the last remaining contender that was looking to battle it out against Manchester City, and ultimately, it just didn't happen for them today, man. It just didn't happen. I agree. Like these chats are saying, it's the new Farmers League, and I do agree with the sentiment, with the essence of that, in the sense that it's becoming so predictable, but that isn't an insult to Manchester City.
Right.
They've turned the toughest league in the world into their own league. That is incredible, bro. That is incredible. And if it wasn't for a crazy penalty shoot against Real Madrid, they could be well on their way to another repeat treble. They're not, but they could have been, bro. They're that close, man. They're that close. And credit to them. It's been an incredible run so far. Phil Foden today, the standout for me. A player who I've talked about on Reynoso Mountain as a nominee for the Ballon d'Or title. I think for certain he is the Premier League player of the season.
He completely extinguished any possible drama 70 seconds into this match by scoring an absolute banger, giving Manchester City such an early lead and already just giving Arsenal fans zero hope. Once that goal went in, just the way he hit it with the amount of venom, the amount of power, and you said it during the game, that was like the 6th time he's done it in the last 2 months. It's crazy how effective he is outside of the box, but regardless of that, you look at Phil Foden's numbers, you look at the amount of times that he stepped up in big matches this season, I don't think you can really argue it. Foden's been one of the best players in the Premier League, probably the best player in the Premier League, and has been top 2, top 3 players in the world, and I don't think you can really argue that.
In the Prem specifically, and for Manchester City, I also think that another player that's worthy of that nominee is the man who also scored today, Rodri.
Yeah.
Also having an incredible season, getting that third goal and celebrating with so much passion. Crazy in a season where Erling Haaland had 27 goals and 5 assists. It's still these two Manchester City players that I think stood out much more this entire year. And credit to them, bro. It was absolutely incredible. Phil Foden, man, absolutely love the guy. He's strengthening his Ballon d'Or campaign. I think he's up there in the running with Vinny Jr., with Jude Bellingham, with Kylian Mbappe. It just depends on how the Euros go for England and Phil Foden specifically. He is definitely up there as a top 5 player in the world, and it was beautiful to see him perform today at that level. I guess my question to you is, are they going to stop at 4, bro? Because the more I think about it, the one man who was able to contain Manchester City for one season, man, in these past 7 years is a man that we'll speak about much more deeply into this live stream, Jurgen Klopp, who is leaving Liverpool now. He was basically the only proof that Manchester City couldn't win. Just one time, bro. Just one time in the past 7 years. Yeah. Now he's leaving. Chelsea is a shitstorm right now. Yeah. Manchester United had a terrible season, one that they're quickly trying to forget. Arsenal is looking to bounce back. Will they actually be able to do it? Tottenham with Ange Postecoglou is trying their absolute best. I mean, there's teams up here that are trying it, but does it look... The more I think about it, I'm just like, I don't know if I see Manchester City losing once again, especially with the announcement that Pep Guardiola is going to stay for another year and see his contract out.
Oh, yeah. My mind immediately goes to what Arsenal have done over the last 2 seasons with Mikel Arteta. He's turned them into title contenders. But not only that, I've said it earlier this season, they play some of the most offensive, some of the most beautiful football in Europe when they're really, really on it. Now, unfortunately, when they face teams that really bunker in, that's where they really struggle. Maybe Arteta can work on that in the summer, and that's what I want to really pinpoint on. If Arteta can keep this core group of players, I'm talking the offensive pieces, Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, Trossard, Havertz, he keeps those 5 players fluid and working the way they have this season, I can see them contending for the title next season. And it'll be really interesting to see, do they offload Jesus and in turn get an actual number 9? Because, I mean, you could say for pretty much the entire season, they use a false 9, right? Yeah, and I think having a direct goal scorer will give Arsenal that one last boost to actually beat Manchester City over a 38-game campaign.
Yeah, I agree. With Arsenal, I think it's no longer about the skill level or the talent. I think they have it. I really do think it's about the mentality of this team. We saw the early Liverpool years with Roberto Firmino, Sadio Mane, Mo Salah. There was a moment where they finally reached those European nights consistently, and they showed up under the bright lights in big matches. I still haven't fully seen that from Arsenal, man. I still haven't. Yeah. I think I need to see that consistently for them to be able to jump into that upper echelon, to be able to fully challenge Manchester City. But I really don't think it's about the talent level anymore, because they've proved time and time again for the past 3 years that the talent is there. I just think those big pressure moments do get to Arsenal, man. I do think it gets to them, and it shows. Why are you wearing the bicycle shirt? I thought that was a tribute to Mohamed Kudus' goal today, the beautiful bicycle kick, no?
You got acrobatic as hell in that goal. Yeah, I thought Kudus when I put this on.
Yeah, of course. Come on. Just a little credit to a wonderful goal amidst this entire incredible title race. Can we talk about that creamy West Ham bicycle kick? Like, oh my God. We're not going to regard goals as creamy. We're not going to do that on this channel. We're not going to call a goal creamy. That's when a guy called a jersey crispy. We're not doing that. I'm sorry. I'm setting the rules. I'm setting the boundaries. Creamy does not work here. Luis Melo, thank you for the $2 donation, my good friend, Chivas fan. We'll talk about Chivas tonight, so look forward to that. But which game made Arsenal lose the title? Asked Pedro Celis. There's a number. I remember the Newcastle match they were frustrated about. I know that little run they had, I think it was going into January, where they lost like 2 games in a row. Right. Was really significant.
It was significant because City were also dropping points, and you would have think that Arsenal could have really strengthened their gap at that time. But for me, I'm just going to look at the game that really could have put it in Arsenal's favor, which is when they played Manchester City and it ended 0-0. I was so frustrated after that game because even though Arsenal played very well, Manchester City played their usual football, I feel like in a game like that where last season you lost it to this team, you got to go all out.
Yeah.
You have to sacrifice everything. Even if you lose that game, it wouldn't have mattered. You still would have lost the league. So why settle for a tie? Arteta and Arsenal should have treated that game like a final, because if they would have won that game, they would have beaten City by 1 point.
Damn, man. Yeah,
so I just feel like if you have the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. I think Arteta does have to take some blame here for how he managed this season. Although they did achieve a lot of good things, they should have done much better. They're mentioning the Aston Villa game as well as a game that they should have been able to get a result in. But then, yes, that match at the Etihad against City where they ultimately settled for the tie. I agree, man. I agree. Yeah. Looking elsewhere, is there anything else you want to highlight about Manchester City? Because obviously I'm wearing a Liverpool jersey right now. I do have some comments I'd like to make.
Yeah. Just real quick for Manchester City. Again, it really is just historic. I want to keep saying that to really make that so clear. I didn't think it could be doable in the modern era of the Premier League, but you said it earlier. Pep Guardiola and Manchester City have turned a really competitive league into just a one-trick pony, essentially. Now, what's really interesting is even though it's predictable, it might be one of the most predictably entertaining leagues in the world, which that's something really interesting that the Premier League has going for them marketing-wise. But for Manchester City specifically, I'll be honest, I thought they had a slightly worse season this year. And compared to last year.
The point total, no, it's way lower this year than last.
It's lower. Yeah. Erling Haaland scored less goals. I kind of anticipated that a little bit because I had questioned whether he would actually get better. And I would say Haaland, he didn't regress, but he definitely didn't progress his game. Again, the absence of Gundogan, I don't think was fully figured out by Pep Guardiola, to be honest. Jack Grealish was almost unrecognizable from his performances late into last season. Foden stepped up, though, and I think that was the biggest factor. And honestly, Foden probably is the actual reason why Manchester City were able to slightly best Arsenal this season. But that's my point, though, is that no matter what, in what course of season, Manchester City can pull something out of their ass. But not just something, they pull the greats, right? If it's not Foden, then it's De Bruyne having a breakout year, or it's Haaland scoring 30 goals in his first debut season in the Premier League. Manchester City can always bring something amazing out of what seems to be nowhere, and I think that is what makes them incredibly difficult to beat on a season-to-season basis.
Yeah, their depth is absolutely incredible. It showed, man. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne was out half the season this year, and it was Phil Foden who stepped up. I think out of all 6 Premier League trophies that Phil Foden has lifted, this one has to feel like the most rewarding, the most deserving to him, because this is the one that he truly worked his ass off and that he earned with his performances every single year, and with the responsibility that was given to him with Kevin De Bruyne on the bench injured. The way he stepped up, I thought was massive. That's why I've given him so much credit, because honestly, if he doesn't do that, I think this title race is very, very tight. I think it's very, very tight, because throughout this entire year, we saw Phil Foden step up in crucial moments when the game is tied or it's a little tight and we're in the 70th minute. Phil Foden posts something out of his fucking English ass and he gets a beautiful goal or a beautiful assist to give him the lead. It is truly incredible what he's done this year. I think he's the most deserving of the title this year, and I think he for sure feels that. Yash with the donation. Campeones. Trophy emojis everywhere. Congratulations on the victory, my friend. What a result. And actually, this reminds me, I would love to look back on our Premier League predictions to just see what we had at the very beginning when we made our Premier League preview video. What were the 1 to 20 finishes that we had in the Premier League, just to look for some standouts. Producer Rug, could you pull that up for me? We had both. I'm on the left, Reynoso is on the left, and Soltero is on the right. We both had Manchester City first.
Yeah.
We both had Arsenal second.
Yeah.
We both had Liverpool third. So the top 3 we got absolutely correct.
Nice.
4th is where it gets crazy for both of us. I had Newcastle, who ultimately ended up disappointing and finished in 7th, and you had Man United, who ultimately finished in 8th.
Also disappointing.
Funny, we went back and forth about who's going to finish above one another. Both finished on 60 points.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
God damn
it. Bro. So fuck that debate, man. Honestly, fuck that
They
one.
both heavily underwhelmed this season.
Heavily underwhelmed. And Aston Villa was the one that actually finished in 4th, and you had them closer to 4th, so I give you credit there. You had them in 5th place. I had them in 6th. Manchester United in 5th for myself. That's also a bad call. And then Chelsea finishes in 6th, and Tottenham in 5th.
Okay. So
neither one of us had Tottenham in the top 6 as well, so they actually overachieved by our standards.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting them to be as good as they were I didn't really see Ange being that impactful, but I was completely wrong.
Yeah.
He had such a good, I would say, first 60% of the season. The last third of the season was kind of poor for Tottenham, but I would say overall Tottenham had a much better season I think most people were expecting.
So, especially remember the first couple months when they were in the quote unquote title race.
Yeah.
That was an exciting time. Mm-hmm. That was fun. Brighton in 9th. We both had them in 9th. They finished in 11th. Yeah. Crystal Palace actually finished in 10th place. I had them 13th. You had them in 15th.
Bro, Palace went off these last 6 weeks.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, they're playing probably the best ball outside of City the last month.
No, I saw some Liverpool fans on Twitter say it truly was a privilege to lose the title race to this Crystal Palace side because the way they balled out recently, killing Aston Villa today as well, I believe.
5-0.
Was it 5, bro? I was about to check.
Bro. Mateta with a hat trick. If they can keep Olise and Eze, they might have one of the most fun front three next year.
Bro.
But that's going to be the hard part. Can they keep those players?
Apparently Mateta has 11 in the last 10 is what I saw.
Wow.
It's crazy. They're chasing that single digit, bro. They've been chasing that for so long of finishing above 9th place. They're a mid-table excellence team in the Prem, and they finished in 10th place. That's just such a sign of where they stand.
It's so Palace, bro.
West Ham finishes in 9th. Where do we have them? I had West Ham 11th. You had them 12th.
Yeah.
Burnley, one of the biggest disappointments, getting relegated at 19th. We both had them above 13th. You had 13. I had 12.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I thought they would have figured it out after the halfway point of the season. They never did. They could not figure out their defense, and then late into the season, they stopped scoring goals too. So it just got worse and worse and worse for Burnley. That's where I got it completely wrong. I thought they would have figured it out.
Vincent Kompany on fraud watch? Or give him another shot in the championship?
No, I just think the players ultimately weren't as good as I thought they would have been.
Yeah. The team.
The team wasn't as good. Yeah.
Here's a surprise for me: Wolves finishing at 14th. I think at their peak they were like an 8th or 9th, but they ended up losing. They ended up losing grip of that, so they finished in 14th. Where did you have them? You had them in 17th. I had them getting relegated in 18th. So if anything, they actually overachieved.
Yeah.
Everton in 15th. I had them 16. You had them 18 getting relegated as well. Brentford finishes in 16th place. Brentford actually got 10th on mine, 11th on yours, so they underwhelmed this year. Bournemouth finishing in 12th place.
Yes.
My goodness.
For me, they're one of the surprises of the season because based off their performances last year, I did not see them getting anywhere close to mid-table. But the fact that they were able to finish 12th, their performances this season were so solid. They were so much more consistent. Heavily impressed by this Bournemouth side this year.
Yeah, shout out to them, man. They've been great. I think I ultimately only ended getting 5 on-the-spot correct calls, which were the top 3.
Yeah.
Last place, Luton, 20th. No, actually, oh shit! No, I actually didn't get that right. Sheffield got last. Yeah, so I didn't get that. So I only got 4 correct calls, and the last one I got right was Nottingham Forest at 17th.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll celebrate that one, man. Nottingham Forest finishes right outside the relegation zone. Teams getting relegated are all the teams that got promoted this year with Luton, Sheffield, and Burnley.
Yeah.
Quite something to note, but fun to look back on our predictions. One question here that I really want to talk about real quick is, does Foden have a chance of becoming the most decorated Premier League player of all time?
I think so. He's 23 and he's won 6 Premier League titles. That's ridiculous.
It's nuts.
I remember when he first hit the scene with City, coming off the bench when he was like 17, and already the plaudits were Foden's one of the best teenagers in the Premier League. And you could see that Pep Guardiola had a lot of faith in him. And to see the player that he's turned into over the last 3 seasons, it makes sense that he's still in the fray at Manchester City. And not only that, this was his best season. And I think he's just going to go off from here. He hasn't even entered his physical prime yet. Just imagine 6 more seasons of prime Foden. That's a scary thought.
Yeah, 100%. You think he's going to see his whole career at Manchester City? You just see him playing anywhere else, man?
I guess why would you go? Yeah. He was bred there. And it's like being born in Manchester United in the 90s. Like, why would you have left that project if you're winning year after year after year? Foden is the star boy of City. So, I just think it'd be kind of dumb to go anywhere else, honestly.
After this season, I think he should rightfully stay. He's going to be Manchester City's next star boy for a long time.
Man.
And if you don't mind me, I'd like to shift on over to the second biggest topic today, which is the departure of Jurgen Klopp. leaving Liverpool Football Club. If you could just let me have a moment here to
Please.
express my thoughts and concerns.
Love to hear this.
I saw the entire post-game presentation after defeating Wolves 2-0 today with goals from Gerald Kwanzaa and I can't remember who scored the first one. I'm going blank right now. But winning 2-0 at home at Anfield. Jurgen Klopp's last final day as head coach. And man, some of the images I saw today were enough to make a grown man cry.
Yeah.
Enough to make a grown man cry, man.
It's beautiful.
Some of the things he said, the things that he's achieved over 9 years with Liverpool are just so memorable, man. The memories are so incredible. And the fact that the day has finally arrived where he has coached, where he has managed his last Liverpool game, man, it hurts. This one really, really hurts because he ushered in a new era of excellence for Liverpool, winning 7 titles in 9 years. And I saw a stat, out of 32 seasons in English football, there's only 3 people who have ever lifted a Premier League trophy and a Champions League trophy with the same team. That's Sir Alex Ferguson, Pep Guardiola, and Jurgen Klopp.
Wow.
Jose Mourinho wasn't able to do it.
Yeah.
Arsene Wenger wasn't able to do it. The biggest names in Premier League football, most were unable to do it outside of Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, and Sir Alex Ferguson. And that's just one of the many stats that he has dawned on himself, that he has earned as Liverpool manager and has just guided us to these incredible victories. Hurts my heart to see him go. He grabbed the mic. He gave a whole shout out to Arne Slot, confirming that he is going to be the next Liverpool coach. So we will be seeing a new era being ushered in. But all in all, man, what a touching way to remember Jurgen Klopp after the events we saw today. Virgil van Dijk in tears. Mo Salah looked blank. Trent Alexander-Arnold hugging him as he got subbed off in the game. There's so many good moments. And I think what really surprises me the most out of all of this is just how stubborn Klopp is about never coaching again, man. They ask him time and time again, like, you ever come back to the Prem? When are you going to be open to coaching again? Bro, he seems checked out completely, bro.
Yeah.
Completely. And so if that's the case, then what a resume, man. Going from Mainz in Germany to Dortmund to then Liverpool, a serial winner who has heard the rendition of You'll Never Walk Alone so many goddamn times in his career. What a fucking character, man. What a career and what a beautiful way to send him off. And the last thing I'll say is never seen a coach receive this sort of ovation or send off or departure ever in my career as a football watcher, man. Never seen it. I don't even know if this is like a thing I want to see in the future type shit. But it was really interesting seeing Liverpool do this whole, like Messi didn't even get this send off when he left Barcelona, man. He didn't get this type of treatment. It's crazy.
That actually is so true because everybody knew that Klopp was leaving. Everybody in every league, in every single continent, the word was Klopp was leaving Liverpool. I think it does make sense that he does get this huge send-off because of what you said. He really is one of the best coaches of all time. I think you can put him in that category of Sir Alex Ferguson, of Pep Guardiola. It's actually dope that he's statistically in that category. Yeah. Now the argument is kind of made. One thing about Klopp is beautifully, I think he really meshed with the pressure of the Premier League. Like, it hurt him, and I think that's why he's quitting, but it also pushed him to these crazy heights, bro. He got pushed, but he had to because he was facing against the billion-dollar Manchester City and also his counterpart in Pep Guardiola. That's one thing I'm going to miss the most is those tactical battles. Liverpool City specifically, Klopp, Guardiola. I'm going to really miss that because low-key, I think Slot has a lot of work to prove, bro. And that's the thing, though. There's almost no pressure on him because he's just a new guy now. He's got to prove himself. He has to create his own career, his own aura at Liverpool. That's going to be the bizarre thing, though, I think, is just seeing a new guy on the touchline. Yeah. It's going to be really strange. And let's see what happens, obviously. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But that's going to be a weird thing. Like, whether Salah comes back or whoever's in the locker room, not having Klopp there. It's going to be a different guy.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think it shows, man, the toll that these past 9 years have taken Klopp in the Premier League. I mean, that's why Pep Guardiola, I think, respects him the most out of any manager in world football, in my opinion, is because of how he was willing to go head-to-head with Pep's machine of a team and push them to their absolute limits. I don't think Manchester City reaches their highest ceiling if Klopp isn't there constantly pushing, constantly pressuring for the title as well. So it actually is truly incredible the the relationship both these guys have in a footballing sense in terms of pushing each other to the absolute max and achieving great things. Ultimately, it is Pep who comes out on top with the trophies and the numbers, but I think just the fact that rivalry existed in the first place was just truly incredible. So congratulations to Jurgen Klopp on an incredible career with Liverpool, man. I'm going to miss him so much, and I'm just interested to see what does a post-Liverpool Klopp era even look like, man.
I'm so curious,
it's such a different
man.
team now, man. It's such a different team, and the offseason is going to be so important to see what players stay and what players go. Does Mo Salah stay another year, or does he also go away? Does he also leave with the Jurgen Klopp departure? We saw Joel Matip and Thiago receive ovations as well as they departed for their last season. I'm interested to see who else will leave. So Arne Slot does have a big job to do here. And I agree with you. I don't think anyone is putting that pressure on him because we all realize just how incredible of a job Klopp did in his years.
Yeah, for real. What'll be really cool, though, is that it's a reset for all of the players that are staying. They have to prove themselves to the coach that they're going to fit in his system. And so I think that's actually a really cool opportunity. This should, at the very least, reinvigorate something in this Liverpool side. And low-key, it might work out in their favor. They should be more gassed up that Arsenal and City are better than this year to improve themselves next year. And the fact that there's going to be a new coach might just add to that fire. It could work or it could end in disaster.
Only Salah, Robertson, and Van Dijk left from the Champions League final squad. What about Trent Alexander-Arnold? That's when I would... And Alisson, no? That's when I would... or maybe from the starting 11? I'm not sure.
Maybe from the starting 11, yeah.
Regardless, man, what an ending to the season. Manchester City, 4 title victories in a row. Congratulations to them. Absolute dominance. And Liverpool seeing Jurgen Klopp leave in tears. So beautiful, man. Beautiful scenes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely
scenes.
beautiful.
I think that's how we'll close this one now, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time. And yes, we have much more football to preview, including Liga MX's playoffs, Bayer Leverkusen, the undefeated season. We're going to talk about that all very soon, coming out tomorrow. We just want to do a live stream over the Premier League specific. Till next time, guys. Peace.